into. So now we are starting the semifinals here. Lex, first map on Ascent. And as I wanted to say why Envy has been so good on this map, or why it's going to be tough for Renegades, is because Envy are so good in terms of pressure on this map, on defense of all things. And as much as they put a lot of pressure on defense on Ascent, we saw overall in their best out of 3 match that we just casted versus Complexity, how good they are not only on pressure, but also retake sites. So pressure on Bind, retakes on Haven, and now you have a map that they're good at and complete as Ascent. It's going to be a very tough one here for Renegades at this point. But for Renegades' point of view, they also defeated Cloud9 onto this map, where Cloud9 had good results too on this map.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the stat sheets, and you know what? The big factor that we didn't see out of Complexity in the last game, which was, the fraggers weren't necessarily fragging. But Renegades, that Cloud9 matchup, Winsum was playing out of his mind, apparently. I only caught the second map, but, statistically speaking, if you have your, I'll call them almost finesse players, skill players, playmakers, the skill fraggers, the guys who get in the face entry into bomb sites and make those plays, that's Winsum a lot of the time for this Renegade side. I expect that opens up a lot on the attack side for teams, so won't be really relevant here, but anxious to see, once we get to halftime, what Renegades is doing that is so good on this map. That said, Envy working into a B split. It's taking a little bit of time to come to fruition, but we're going to enter into it now. The B bomb site split is underway, and Renegades is forced back a bit, but there's one player on the bomb site, and randyySavage is actually going to opt to come through that smoke, and nobody spotted him yet. CP2 finds the first, grabs that second. Crashies and Caboose trade out with 2 of their own apiece. Now it's just Caboose back at the bomb site in a 1v2. He does have the overheal going. The spike gets planted. Full stack, Ghost in hand. This is a scary situation to be in if you are Renegades, knowing that Reyna is stacked beyond belief, but they're just going to wait out that overheal wisely so. But that will eat out a lot of time off this clock, Vansili.
Yeah. And it's also Caboose you're playing against, and you're not really sure where he's playing what corner, and the timing is just perfect, at least for the first one that crosses over. They're going to double peek into this one, and they double peek with confidence to get that kill onto Caboose. You just saw it there from the point of view of Winsum, or of Retro, that Winsum just put his knife out. We got this, cheers, and they get the pistol. And that pistol actually there, Lex, was just good utility usage from both of these teams. The Cyber Cage to allow on the attack to get into the market, a Cyber Cage to counter into B main, but also a camera on the top to see how many players are running through. But you also had a counter Sova dart that came in from crashies that also, when you said randyySavage wasn't spotted, well, he got pinged by the recon dart, which allowed all these trades to happen. In the end, with all of this information, who comes out on the top in this dogfight? And it was definitely Renegades at that point.
Yeah, and there's going to be a full buy coming out from Envy, and it's going to be a B hit. See the Sova Owl drone already pushing through B main out of the bomb site, getting whatever info they can, but the push is underway. FNS already out to logs, teammates pressing forwards towards the defender's side of things. CP2 holding strong on the bomb site finds Caboose. 3 players from Envy remaining. He finds another. CP2, big man on the default box, is holding steady. Winsum bails him out. Now crashes at main, collecting one decent headshot. The Renegades, 3 players survive. 2-0 start.
He's still carrying his sheriff from that previous matchup into this one here for crashies, man. He's feeling it for that pistol rather. But when you're looking at how Renegades are playing, or even Envy, when they're pushing into this site towards that B side, and I've mentioned it before, and we haven't had a chance to mention it into this matchup for Envy, but whenever these guys for Envy are executing into the site, FNS often doesn't really run out with his gun out. He's just counting on his teammates to really spread out the map, gain that map control, gain the site control, so that he could throw the trap wires necessary towards, for example, market, or even towards the switch, so that he could try to get these kills. And this is going to be a big kill to start things off. That's 2 kills coming through. Paint Shells and a Spectre going with the Satchel Charge long range. mummAy's now tagged, forced to fall back, trying to meet up with his teammate too of Caboose. And here's a big paranoia, but it's still going to be the buddy system coming in for Renegades. 3 players pushing in towards the long A side, flanking towards the back mid, and they're looking to solidify this round with a flawless. But Food has managed to sneak through towards his garden side, and is going to try to look back towards his flank. He's got the knife out. That's the flawless round.
Man, if we stopped the match right here,
Stop the count.
and that was it. Yeah, if we stopped the count on the rounds right here, okay, so that Renegades would win, and we had to analyze the match, I would give them a hell of a lot of praise with how well they are playing together as teammates.
Yep.
Not just on the pistol, not just on the second round, but the one we just watched, of course, it's just an anti-eco. But man, the pressure applied at A main. There's backup on backup with utility being deployed. There was a paranoia, there's a Roomba, there's a nade before anybody's peeking, and they're aggressively pushing Envy back. And that is something that Envy hadn't seen from Complexity in their previous matchup. They were used to basically walking wherever they wanted, straight into the jaws of the defense, not caring, knowing that they weren't going to get challenged right away. But Renegades, look at this. Just relentless aggression, even on the bonus. Winsum finding one on the food, and they're just not ready. Kaboose, luckily, being as insane as he is, turns, helps out, and does get a trade. So not all spelling bad news for Envy, but Renegades, I really am liking what I'm seeing out of them from so far, Vansili.
Yeah. Even close range judge. Finesse is waiting for this one. He expects it, but it's still going to be a win from Retro. So that's one weapon down, but there's still players just behind the body left behind from FNS to try to trade it out. But Retro is able to dash away. Pre-fire shots coming through. He's counting the bullets. Goes back out. Lands for the second kill. And even the third one into mummAy. But mummAy was able to take down randyySavage just before. In the end, it's still going to be Kaboose on his own on a 3 versus 1. He does have the spike. There's 40 seconds left on the clock. He could himself go for a backstab, but the positioning so far for Renegades is that whoever dies, the rotation's coming back on the other side and quickly on top of that. And it's going to be a long-range Spectre in the dome of Kaboose to make it 4 unanswered rounds. And Lex, you're seeing it. It's a bonus round. They're still pushing it. I agree to that aspect because, you know, you want to bring that element of surprise. It's a bonus round for you. You're trying to play it passively. You give Envy map control. Then they're taking the advantage on such an open map like Ascent, such a long-range map too, when you're entering towards the site that the rifles often take the upper hand. But overall, man, Renegades are looking so good, putting Envy back on an eco. But it's only going to be really the next round that's going to be the real test here for Renegades.
Sure, we just got some pistols out here from Envy. And you know what, as often as we do see, and I did say last game, you know, a little critical of Complexity's Sheriff buys in contrast to how successful Envy's can be. They do have those shooters on their squad where Sheriff is absolutely still scary in the right hands, but the beginning of this round won't go that direction. Winsum and CP2 finding the first contact around, but mummAy and FNS trade out kills of their own, and crashies there with that Sheriff. We keep talking about it. You know, such a surprise at times where kills come out where we normally wouldn't expect them to, but a nice shot, out mechanic, out skilled. And randyySavage evening things up following that kill from crashies, but a nice shot from him to get him to this point. Now he's creeped up in heaven in a very compromising position, and he whiffs, just hitting nothing but air. Oh my goodness. randyySavage quick to turn a 180 and collect those trades, but wow, that was razor thin, could have gone either way. And I thought that was a perfect scenario for Envy, and crashies unfortunately came up short. Regardless, 5-0, you know, we just can't stop singing the praises of Renegades right now for good reason, but they are looking so scary, Vansili. And I know I said that at the end of the last round as well, but the fact of the matter is, all 5 of these players have what it takes to be performing at a top level here in the Valorant scene. I really do believe that. And you know, that would have sounded like a really insightful thing, you know, prior to their win against Cloud9 earlier. Clearly, they've already shown this.
Yeah.
But Envy, to me, is coming out of a series where they're playing hot.
Yeah.
Okay, so if Renegades is, at any point in this game, going to take a significant lead, you know, we're only at 5-0 now. But Envy being pushed back against the ropes, and that push from Winsum a little bit excessive, but the confidence is clearly flowing, Vansili. This is insane to watch.
But here's the thing, like I said before, on that previous round, it was an eco for Envy, and they almost won that, right? They got 3 kills, they pick up weapons, they got a spike plan. Now they have full weaponry, and because of them pushing so far forward, they have a chance now to throw a neural theft and know where the players are playing, but CP2 is holding his ground. That's 3 kills for him in a 1 versus 1. randyySavage now getting ready to pull out his weapon like a samurai versus a low HP Envy, looking to fall back crashies. and he's flanking up towards the way in Catwalk. But look how out in the open randyySavage is. He's just looking for a quick flick from all these angles, and he unfortunately looks back towards the A side before, and crashies wins that one and saves it for Envy. And like I said, it was a tough one. And I did like the idea for what Renegades was doing because, like I said, Envy, they're strong on this map on defense because they add a lot of pressure. Renegades did exactly the same thing using the ultimates on that previous round. So they have a chance to do a lot of damage, but also not have to die and leave their bodies behind by going through the ultimates, right? You had the Hunter's Fury towards A main, you had the Showstopper towards B, but as the two players that were heavily damaged fall back inside the map, and I think that was Food and also FNS towards that spawn side, they still chased after them. And because of that, they got the advantage for Envy, and they were able to turn around over into their side.
Right, and you know, in the round prior, you mentioned almost winning the eco was Envy, and crashies may have dropped the ball in that round, but makes up for it in the 1v2. And now we have 5-1. A split coming out from Envy, perhaps. There's no presence towards A main to speak of. That's sort of an Sova at top mid faking it. So he runs the owl drone through A main. This is going to end up being a B split. Excuse me, I said A split before. But they've faked through A main, and the Catwalk players have smoked out tree and made contact at mid. So the B split's underway. randyySavage, though, almost getting caught off by a bunny hopping Food. Quickly traded out by mummAy. 4-on-4 scenario. CP2 forced back towards the defender's spawn. The bomb site now firmly in the possession of Envy, and the retake must come through for Renegades. We'll bide our time here as crashies on the mid lurk will find Retro, and that's a big kill. And Mark position a bit compromised now, knowing that crashies is over their mains, that Renegades needs to slow down, go back, and either think about clearing out market or saving, and they're going to opt to save here in this round.
Yeah. And I've been oofing about crashies a lot throughout the broadcast today, and I don't think it's necessarily just on the sheriff kills that he's getting, but also the position that he has to continue to cut these rotations across here for Envy to allow them to get these rounds. So Envy able to pull up on a second round. We're even not going to try to go for exits, rather, for Renegades, as they really just want to conserve these weapons into the next. They've won 5 rounds in a row. They are forced to buy a lot of weapons into that previous round, or into this round that just concluded, because 4 of their players, even all 5 of them, died on that 1-versus-1 in the end, of course, that allowed Envy to put the first point on the scoreboard. So this is going to allow for them to go for a healthy buy into this round here. But like I said, once the money came back here into the favor of Envy, they're able to string those rounds in, and this could finally be that moment, maybe not into the next round, but the one after that, where we could finally see an eco for Renegades if Envy continues their current run on the attacker side.
Right, and this coming round, we're going to have a full buy, obviously, for both teams. We've got a few ultimates to work with on the side of Envy that would make the difference in this round, but Renegades, CP2, peering out into tiles off Catwalk just early on, gets the scan dart in him, so he won't be there for much longer. And that's a good rotate anyway, because the B split is coming through. Food pops his ultimate, pushes through the bomb site, and finds CP2 actually on the rotate, so excuse me, it was a huge mistake, as clearly Food has gotten the better of him there. Kaboose pressing to the bomb site, finds one on a Randy, and now a 2-man advantage for Envy on the round, and for Retro, and his compatriots on the side of Renegades, this is a really difficult retake to attempt.
Yeah. Retro's coming out now. They're pre-firing through the cabin from the back of the site too, but Retro is really focused on trying to get this kill. But I don't know if he knows there's 2. He's dashing forward, but just around the corner is Food. Indeed he did, because it was a run it back from the Phoenix before. And while he was doing all that, they really needed Berghy to move forward, but you can see how they're just setting up right now for the exits in the end. That clock is really ticking down, so they're just trying to make it expensive for Envy into the end. Winsum's in a great corner right now, and he lands that first shot into mummAy, and as the rest are trying to run back, you do have Kaboose that's stuck with the Empress, and Berghy, at least, there you go. They're able to take everybody down from Envy. It's going to be at a 5-3 scoreline, but things are looking up here for Envy so far.
Yeah, a little bit of consolation prize to get those kills, but economy for both teams, I believe, is solid. So another buy coming out, but the operators are down, so that is the difference from the previous. And, you know, we were at 5-0, and I had been gushing about Renegades' play for 3 rounds straight, and I don't think that they've necessarily, maybe a few mistakes for sure on maybe over aggression, but this is more of a response, I think, from Envy, an adjustment And certainly a posture change. They're playing very well in response to how well this game seemed to be going, at least for Renegades.
It really started from that again, when they went out after the ultimates from the Showstopper and the Hunter's Fury and chased him towards the spawn side, where we saw things starting to turn around for Envy. So they were oozing with confidence, and Envy are just making sure that they keep them in check.
Aldrome will spot the cat setup. So 2 players in Garden. Envy knows this. A nice shock dart onto the face of Ood. He lives, presses forward. He's getting scanned, facing all kinds of utility thrown at him. He's gonna be forced to heal or at least fake it. And usually when we've seen Envy abandon this position, right, we see FNS already up through mid.
Yeah.
A market split still in the cards, but there are 2 players from Renegades over here. So randyySavage grabbing the first is huge. At least buying a little bit of time for Berghy, who's on the bomb site alone. And these kills just keep coming through. We don't even know where they are on the map, but crashies stranded everywhere. Gets dropped by CP2. And wow, I really like the adjustment from Envy there to cancel the cat split. But the fact is, you know, whether it was the paint shells coming from the grenade of Raze, I believe they were shock darts, right, that were initially getting thrown over there at the cat doorway. So there was a lot of damage dealing abilities and denial coming from Renegades. So you had a few members of Envy basically stranded there. And, you know, 10, 15 seconds pass before you can fall back out of the catwalk position and maybe regroup and think about a B split. Well, Berghy's already back in the bomb site. Randy's already retaken catwalk and Garden.
Yep.
And I think there was RetrQ already through defender spawn. So
exactly. That was exactly that.
A little bit too slow on the rotate. But yeah, I mean, unfortunately for Envy, don't get it done. 6-3 now. Renegades back in the driver's seat eventually.
Yeah, and as they were trying to push back for this market push into B, and there you go. That was one of the things. There were no smokes towards that back, so that first battle towards defender spawn into market was won by Renegades. But while they're also pushing through, Berghy turtles inside the site. But while all of them are pushing towards the B site, Renegades didn't hesitate. They continued to press forward and fight back for cat control after everybody fell back. So they thought that they conceded for Envy. They thought that Renegades conceded towards the catwalk side and they would just play a more passive rotate. But instead, they went for, I think it was a 2-man push back on catwalk to actually win those fights back on mid. So Renegades, like I said, they're looking very similar to Envy, in my opinion, on the defender side, where they're really playing more aggressive. They're playing their aggression a little bit more differently than Envy, but I do like the fact that they're really fighting for the map control in the beginning of this map, in the beginning of this series.
Yeah, it forces Envy to use a lot of utility to retake that map control, and so the site hits are much less severe, and the post plants are much more manageable, I'd say, to deal with when you've already kind of, I'll use a term, milked the utility out of your opponent, so to speak. So 6-3 now. I mean, obviously, Envy definitely, there's so many rounds left to play, but okay, 10 seconds left on the clock. The fast speed play comes out. Sidewalk pushed up quick. Berghy finds 2, Winsum with another. Headshots with Vandals. That's all the scoreboard's showing, with maybe one Spectre and a Phantom there to sneak in. But 7-3, Renegades with a rock-solid hold at B. You know, commanding the economy game right here. So this is going to force Envy back to an eco. And back onto pistols at a time when, you know, we should be talking about Envy needing to seal out these last 2 rounds. It's a desperate situation from them.
Did they actually try to go into the B site with no utilities too, with 10 seconds?
With 10 seconds, and that's what I mean. When they're using so much utility to take cat control, you take a main. When you're making your opponents basically dump that utility just to survive the opening parts of the round, yes, you may concede that map control, but you're setting yourself up for success later on in the rounds by surviving and making them use it. So, you know, right there, as you said, pushing into the B bomb site, even if it's late in the round and you think you might have outmaneuvered your opponents, still did not pan out for them, and almost, you know, win a 5-0 flawless victory for Envy, or for Renegades, rather. That said, this eco is going to be pushing in towards A. The door is contested by Winsum, and a kaboose flick drops CP2. What a shot! 5-on-3 now. Renegades have to give up the bomb site, but Randy's down here spraying away, fighting for his life. He actually grabs 2, and now it's RetrQ pushing in from heaven, finding 2 kills of his own, and mummAy, he's gonna have to bust out this Omen ult and get the heck out of here. Either save the Phantom or play for the clutch. Berghy's wise to it. The cancel comes through, denied from Renegades. you know, that was a very scary eco from Envy.
Oh, yeah.
And this very well could have gone their way, but that shot from Caboose, my God, that guy is some aim on.
Round in the half.
And that's all thanks to just them wasting so much time for Envy at the entrance of the A site to allow FNS and I forgot who it was Caboose, right?
Here.
Coming in from the catwalk side. So staying alive towards the battle at the orb, not losing any players early, and also keeping Renegades, just fighting them towards that A main. They had to fall back into a site and then play a crossfire setup where the person that's playing at the sliding door is now stressing out because he's about to get pinched from catwalk and from A main. They knew there was already 3 players playing towards A main, which means the catwalk was open. So Envy able to get the entry and able to get a spike plant and also making it a 2 versus 1 in favor of Renegades on an eco. You got to give them that round at least for that. And that builds the economy into this one. They have a running back to run with as well, and they're going to look for something very aggressive into this B side as well. It's worked out well before, but not this time. Winsum, with the showstopper, cancels out the run it back and also gets a kill for his troubles too. A counter coming back from the Hunter's Fury of CP2 connects onto Food. And that is utility ultimates wasted. randyySavage on the big flank. Easy burst onto crashies, and they have no answer right now for Envy. mummAy is going to be the last person standing. Does have the op, and he's good with the op. He's good with the sheriff too, but he only has a classic to work with. And it comes from the air. Retro trying to go for the right click, and mummAy says no with the right click into his face. So it's a 3 versus 1. You still have a neural theft and also the camera, which is enough to get the information of the last person where he's at. And mummAy is just continuing to attack as he wants to bait it out. That's perfect. He makes it a 2 versus 1 now. The spike is still down. He has to go back to fight it. There's so many weapons on the ground, but he's still trying to work with the op. Goes for the smoke. 18 seconds left. He can get the spike. He's running through. Picks up the Phantom. He gets the 3rd kill. It's a 1 versus 1 through the smoke, but Berghy finally saves the round for Renegades. 9-3 on the half to concluded in favor of the Renegades team.
My jaw's on the floor right now. I thought mummAy was going to win that after he picked up that kill in the smoke. What? And that burst. Oh my goodness. Retro just getting deleted. What a shot from mummAy, and
you know, insane of a try.
You know, I began to doubt my call of how good Renegades was playing in this matchup. You know, after they kind of squandered the 5-0 lead, right? We kind of backed down from saying, you know, Renegades is looking dominant. But the 9-3 scoreline tells the story right there, where Renegades is denying Envy a lot of these opportunities that you would expect at least a fair chance. You know, a good opportunity for Envy to maybe win a round or secure a clutch. You know, there were several man-up situations that they may have squandered, but I think it speaks more to truth to say Renegades is playing out of the minds right now.
Yeah.
Both as individuals and as teammates. So fast play coming in from Renegades. A perfect nade on the site and a fast frag from Retro as he pushes out of A main. CP2 gets one of his own. And now there's just 2 players remaining from Envy. Food desperately trying to find some heads up here at Heaven. He finds 1 on the Retro. Frenzy doing some work. Lots of players seem to be flocking towards that new favorite pistol. Love to see it. But FNS and Food, I believe.
No more charges left.
Yep.
You know, this is a 2-on-3 scenario in a pistol, and you need to win this round. And as I say that, Winsum just bunny hopping through the smoke, doing a casual 180. And popping some bursts on the faces of Envy, and now it's 10-3, and this is looking as though it might be a lost map, Vansily. Well, it might be, actually. It's 10-3 at this point. Money's looking rough for Envy. Do they force into this? I don't even know.
No, I don't think so. Being Envy and being, like I said, a map that they're really comfortable on as well. You know, losing so many rounds on the attacker side is kind of normal that we see such a spread and a scoreline. So that if, for example, Renegades is able to put 9 rounds on defense, a team like Envy could definitely do that. Losing pistol definitely hurts, but look at the 2 players that actually purchased into Sheriffs. It's the Caboose, it's the crashies. We'll see if he's going to be able to do that right now, if they will be able to do that for Envy to catch up into this matchup. But RNG, just like the previous round, they're running out behind the boot bot to gain control and just push as a group from that.
Regrouping towards mid. There are 3 players from Envy over here at B and market side, so mummAy will be the first to fight. Finds 2. Classic burst to the face. And Caboose finds one of his own. And like you
Player
said,
standing.
can't count out Envy in these pistols. Another sheriff kill going the way of crashies. Man, still, you're omniscient. Look at this. Look at them go.
Who's killing him?
Dismantling
Who's killing him?
Renegades, Caboose, and crashies. I mean, dude, we talked about it during complexity. If you're going to sheriff buy in a round, okay? If you're gonna force in a round, do something together. Make a play together. And look at that. You know, Envy, noticing that Renegades is grouped up at mid, they collapse. 4 rotators immediately are surrounding the push. They're not necessarily all fighting together at the same angle. But the pinches come in, the trade frags come out, and Caboose gets 2 kills in the back of players that weren't even aware of his presence over there. So, you know, for Envy, that's a breath of life, okay? Get a little bit of, you got a heartbeat going, but you see FNS over there at 2 and 12. And that is the frustration that this Envy team is feeling right now. You know, Renegades is making great individual plays, but they're also just denying the opportunity for these guys to step up and dominate. But that, as I say that, Caboose making a bold play over there at Wine and finding some success with it. A little bit of damage gets traded out, but he'll be thankful that he made that play. Puts his team up at a 5v4 now.
I'm really liking that the Sovas of this map are not really going for a set or anything fancy with the shock darts. Just go towards that front, do as much damage as you can, and then try to have the ones with the weapons clean up and mop up the rest, mop up the floor with anybody else that's trying to retaliate here on this A hole and the A push, and that's through the smoke. mummAy gets 2. That's unfortunate. mummAy continuing his reign here from that attempt of a 4 versus 1 before is still not done yet in this matchup, and Envy as a whole, neither. And then Berghy is able to answer that. mummAy is close, and they have their own sheriffs in town. I mean, they are the ones with the logo with the cowboy hat, so I wouldn't be surprised here. It's almost Berghy to get the third, but that's a spike down. So there's 30 seconds left. Winsum looking to upgrade to a Phantom, but crashies, goes in from the A flank, and they win the round here for Envy.
All right, all I can see right now in my vision are question marks. I'm confused. Winsum double satcheled onto the bomb site, fine. Take the spike with you. Berghy's sitting in A main waiting for Winsum to do something, but you know, you just earned yourself the access to the bomb site. You got 2 beautiful kills. You smoke off the doorway, and I think maybe he thought he was going to get swung earlier from heaven. So he almost was like second guessing himself, worried that he should go back to B instead. I wonder if that was a miscomm or something as Winsum double satcheled in, because Berghy didn't push to the bomb site. Didn't put the spike down. That said, it's not really relevant anymore, but may have been a minor success in that round that, you know, was kind of given away, we'll say. 10-5. Envy's certainly not out of it yet. Lots of Valorant left to play. Renegades, 5 players outside of B main currently. CP2 running that owl drone towards that Phoenix, and Food blinding the drone, blowing Winsum, finding the early frag, and doesn't even take a single point of damage for his trouble, and this B hit already scattered out. And you see damage coming out, and that's great. But the rotators are already here. This is going to be tough for Renegades to get in here. And as I say that, Retro really messes up his movement. It's on the entry in, but finds 2 kills anyway. CP2 with one of his own, and now it's Retro, as you mentioned before, on the bomb site alone. Cannot get it done. Envy cleans it up. And 10-6, the margin of victory for Renegades is slowly closing in on them from Envy's side of things, because they are 1 round at a time looking like they have a strong defense here against whatever Renegades has to show us.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think at the beginning of this game, Vansila, you mentioned, you know, the success of these teams and whether or not we see them on the attack side being successful. You know, so often in Valorant, we like to, well, me really, I'm the one who does it. I like to say, oh, this is going to be a really tough comeback, but it really comes down to whether or not you have a competent attack side. So despite the fact they have 10 rounds, there's a lot of questions unanswered here for Renegades. Retro with a fast play into A. I'm just going to continue on as the play has already been made. The A pushes in. 2 kills coming for Renegades. Only 1 gets traded out. The Hunter's Fury doesn't land. And Vansili, now we have a 4v3 post-plant scenario for Envy.
Yeah, at least Envy, they have a run it back, they have the Empress. They pop it both right away, so they're going to try to get an early control into the site, not allow them to get a post-time position, but the run it back is gone. The Empress is still trying to move forward, gets the first kill here onto Berghy from the sliding door as he dismisses side to side, pops back in the front of Retro and takes him down as well. Continues his work here for Caboose, spots the last 2 in the front of the site, and just like that, the tides have turned. Envy takes the upper hand. FNS trying to peek forward, and it's Caboose and FNS going to work for the last 2. The defuse will come through. It was a mixed buy coming in from Renegades. They still managed to take control of the site and get openers and a plant. And I liked how they did it, because whoever was playing on the top of the boxes and died, I think that was mummAy, He had so many targets to try to aim at, and then as soon as he was locked on, they disappear in smokes. And then he doesn't know where to aim, and then RG did a great job, actually, to keep them on their toes to actually make it in. But the post plant, it's a tough one. I mean, you don't have the weapons, and you're playing against 2 ultimates to try to retake the site too. It was a valiant attempt.
Yeah, I really like those fast plays, especially with when you're leading it in with a Jett or even a double satchel off of Raze. You know, defenders, if you are in advanced position, as you mentioned, mummAy on the boxes, it's just such an awkward, like you have not only additional targets coming in afterwards, but the speed at which the Jett moves in, the speed at which the satchels come through, it's like, you don't know what to do. You're just spraying at air half the time as it is. So, you know, maybe
Cage triggered.
we'll see Envy almost revert to a little bit more of a passive setup on A, actually, as I say that. They have a main control, so never mind. But in future rounds, maybe we'll see that strat come out again with weapons for Renegades. But for the time being, a little bit of mid-control being worked. They have, you know, worked themselves up near market. There is a trip, so this B-split might get delayed here just by a moment. And they've already got the rotations underway. Envy knows that FNS over here at Logs has a nice crossfire with Food, who collects 2 beautiful headshots through that cage, finding a 3rd at market. And the 4th and 5th kills come in cleanly for Envy, a flawless round. Nearly perfect, but 10-8. Like I said, this lead is, it looked immense to begin this half, but we have yet to see a Renegades gun round be successful, and that's really the question mark that I have on whether or not they can maybe put together this map succinctly and put it away sooner rather than later. They need to show us something here, Vincily.
Yeah, and that's such a good camera spot there from Finesse. Like, FNS putting that camera on the top door, it sees so much, and it keeps Food and FNS ready for that crossfire setup. But I think maybe what's missing is, because when you look at the utilities that they have, there's not really much that they could use that could actually break that camera from the angle without being seen. So they really have to try to rotate Envy out of B by taking control in a different area of the map. And so far, it's going to be towards this mid side, where the first one has fallen from the operator, peeking out towards the catwalk. But it is going to be an eco coming in for Renegades. We're 2 rounds from tying things up. mummAy, they heard that close range, but he still gets the flick onto Retro.
Wow.
I thought he was dead to rights after that one, but it's still going to be Envy looking for another flawless round. Big dart, 2nd big dart. It's going to be actually avoided, but the double peek comes through from both ends, and the 2 kills come in favor of Envy. And now we have the real test for Renegades. I mean, they're slipping on their half so far. They've only 1 pistol, got ecoed, or got forced by whatever it is, and then lost every single round since. They don't have enough money to go for an operator, and they're 1 kill away from activating the Blade Storm from Retro. So this is a big test for them right now to, 1, gain a morale. If they lose, they're going to be on a broken buy. So they really have to utilize the 4 ultimates that will be available for them into this round here, as Envy don't have anything on their side, so take advantage of that now.
Yeah, we're already seeing this aggression from Envy. This is what they're so good at, is contesting early on, and absolutely got to acknowledge Renegades finally taking the initiative early on in this round, and they are going to commit to it, but crashies collecting 2 Vandal headshots immediately makes this look like a mistake. Makes this look like a mistake, rather. kaboose taking a little bit of damage through that smoke. So 3 players still up for Renegades. Actually, that is Food to fall, and Berghy finds another. So what was almost a desperate situation from Renegades suddenly pens kaboose up in between A main, the bomb site, and catwalk. He will fall. FNS, the only player remaining. 4 kills to his name in this game. Looking for 3 more, does not get it. Wow, okay, so a little bit to unpack there. And what I want to give to, you know, in terms of praise to Renegades is, you know, at the beginning of the round, our observer was on, I believe that was mummAy over there at B main with the operator, and that's something that Envy does consistently, right? They're willing to maybe walk that up, get additional info, and cut the angles down such that you know where the enemy team is on the map. And if you sit on that information long enough, you know, process of elimination dictates, okay, they have to be B at this point. They have to be A, wherever it may be. But if you force them back at the beginning of the round, as kaboose was early on at A main and 1, as they are currently walking through A main, then the rotates don't have time to come through as the fast play comes out. And here we are, the exact same thing on the other side of the map. Winsum flying into the bomb site, finding 2 kills. The aggression is immediately shown by Renegades, and it pays off. 4 on 3 in possession of the B bomb site. The spike goes down. Food dropping the trip over here at Defender spawn, waits for the rotators to join him before pressing in on the defense. You know, randyySavage over here, the door is going to be a problem. He doesn't even get cleared. 3 kills, 3 Vandal headshots. Renegades looking sick on that round. Winsum, randyySavage. Absolutely a devastating B play, and that's what I mean. Forcing this early aggression back, push them back into the bomb site and make a play off of it. What this does, okay, yes, you are maybe committing yourself to a gamble play, a gamble fast move into the bomb site, but hey, what you're doing is pushing that team, you know, whether it's 2 or 3 players over here, back into an uncomfortable position, but you're using your speed, you're using your violence of action almost to get through that line of defense in the smoke, and you're finding defenders that are standing in the open. You're finding defenders that are reeling backwards, trying to get a setup on the bomb site because of the speed that is coming out from Renegades, and it's unsuccessful.
And I thought it was going to be Envy's round because they had the Blade Storm getting ready. I'm pretty sure they were going to try to go B because they wanted to use the Blade Storm, but then they still killed Retro first. Same thing for this round, and this time they're waiting for it. I was going to say, because Envy got the first kill, they didn't care. They still pushed through FNS's Cyber Cage to get those frags, and now finally they hold their ground. We're going to get a teleport all the way out towards A. We're going to have loud footsteps towards the spawn side, though, but it's being heard, so crashies is already watching it. CP2 is dead to rights. That's 1 down, and it's a 4 versus 1. Make that a 3. Berghy has done it before. He's looking to do it again. He's inside the site right now, but he's going to have to be wary of players coming in from A main and also from the catwalk. I love so far. Oh, no, I was going to say, I love that he put the dark cover out to run away or hide from the owl drone, but after that, he gets tagged. A flash comes through. That's it. Envy will win this round after the defuse. And Renegades at this point, I don't know if they're going to be... I think they've won 2 rounds in a row, right? They should be still be fine here for a bye. But as I said 3-4 rounds ago, Renegades had 4 ultimates ready as soon as Retro is able to get a kill and use the Blade Storm. We're 3 rounds later, and he still has that Blade Storm. I think they're going to have to try to do something with this right now to really get into the site. The B explosions doesn't seem to work with Retro trying to dash in there. So I think they're going to try to attempt to get it towards the A side.
Yeah, and that was a beautiful play by Food. Popped his
look at
run
this.
It back.
They're going for paranoia. They're going for the paranoia push.
Uh-oh. This would be...
he held it.
This would be danger for Renegades, but yeah, he second guesses himself, and kaboose is so bold. Look at this. They know kaboose has been walking through A main every single round uncontested. You know, they're not in a position right now, you know, at 12-10 to be losing anything else, right? You want to put this game away. crashies has other plans, knowing that likely there are players outside of A main. Blind rips it through the wall, gets a lot of damage out, and finds a frag. Renegades, 12-10, still clinging to this 2-round lead and certainly are on map point. Can't neglect the fact that this is do or die for Envy, but can't help but feel like they're a little bit, you know, I don't want to say frustrated, but certainly have been foiled and frustrated at several different points in this half on these executes on the bomb sites where maybe they're having initial success or initial issues, rather.
I'd be frustrated,
I don't know what else they could do here.
I'd be frustrated if I was Renegades because the idea there was try to jump on that wall so they can try to surprise it. But let's talk about that in a little bit. We are still executing towards the A side, and the trades are still coming true. In the end, as though they have a 1-minute advantage from the Hunter's Fury and Tags 2, we still have 2 healthy players for Renegades move inside the site. So there's 20 seconds left. The door closes. It's all up to Food and up to FNS to try to win this so far, to try to stay alive in this first map versus Renegades, as we are holding double hell for the attackers. Winsum holding the angle. FNS, they know that one's towards heaven, and it's him and Berghy right now trying to hold it back. As the smoke dissipates, FNS spots Berghy. Only 1 more to go. He gets burnt down and also gets headshotted by Food, and that's a great way to retake the site, but also a good thing. The positive aspect out of this for Renegades is that they wasted. They made Envy use their neural theft right away. We're going into this next round. There's really only going to be from the shadows from mummAy should he get a kill, and that's not that important in terms of an ultimate here. So it's a good waste for RNG. They have 3 ultimates of their own to work with this time too, and it's all down to this round.
They do have that Hunter's Fury as mentioned, and you know, for Renegades, I think you're right in that it's great that they forced out the ults in the last round, but That was very winnable, and unfortunately, that A-bomb site is so claustrophobic and so difficult sometimes to hold in post plants. And Caboose, who's been getting so greedy, finally gets caught out by Retro. Crashies falls on the bomb site, and this may be it for Envy. They are forced into retake with 3B5, 10 seconds into the round. Wow, Renegades off to a heater, and randyySavage, you know, who's on a mixed buy, Sheriff only, finding a Sheriff headshot onto Food at mid. Randy having a game of his own. And now it's 12-11, map point, 5-on-2, Envy desperate here for anything, and it doesn't look like they're going to be able to get it done as Winsum running that showstopper through heaven, and Retro getting that Blade Storm in the face of FNS, and that is it, 13-11, Renegades taking map